With sales down 30% in the Vancouver area and the lowest level since 2009, it's no wonder the market is changing and becoming more balanced. How long will that last? Where is the best buyer's market for you to get a deal? And what type of homes are still flying off the shelf? Please like and subscribe to stay tuned to find out more. On top of going over the October stats that are just released, we're going to break down what Trudeau thinks about real estate investors in Canada and the two new laws coming to BC hoping to bring more units to the market, and the shocking level of the mortgage arrears right here from the recent numbers. My name is James Anderson. I am your family realtor, and I help people buy and sell homes here in the Lower Mainland. As a former teacher, I bring an educational approach to real estate, empowering you with the knowledge in every aspect of buying and selling homes. Now, if you have any questions about these articles or want to book a buyer's or strategy session with me, you can do that by clicking the link below and book in at a time that works perfectly for you. So let's kick things off with a big picture in Metro Vancouver. Now, while choice is always good, we're noticing that these new listings are not flying off the market as fast as they're coming in. Sales did see a slight uptick from last year, a 3.7% increase, but we're still wrestling with figures that are nearly 30% low of what we're used to around this time of the year. So with sales at 30% lower than the seasonal average and similar numbers to what we saw in 2008 and 2009, you have to think that those interest rates are finally working their way through the system here, crushing demand and not allowing buyers to get into the market and people transact in the market. Now, another thing to think about with those numbers is the fact that we actually have seen a massive amount of immigration and a massive amount of building in between now and 2008 and 2009. And we're still comparing those numbers to back then when we had 500,000 less people in the Metro Vancouver area. Now let's look at the sales to active listing ratio, which is a good forecast for the real estate market's direction because it measures demand against supply. So a high ratio indicates more demand relative to supply, suggesting the market may trend towards higher prices and more competition amongst buyers. And a low ratio points to a surplus of supply over demand, which may lead to a downward trend in prices and a market that is more favorable for buyers. And so monitoring this ratio helps predict whether a market is likely to become more active or slow, guiding buyers and sellers in their decision making. So let's imagine yourself at a basketball game. There's a snack stand with a bunch of goodies and popcorn and hot dogs, drinks, and you name it. Now the number of snacks they have on the shelves is like the total number of houses listed in an area. And that's your active listings. Now let's say every time a fan buys a snack, that's like getting a house sold. Those are your sales. These sales to active listing ratio is like looking at the number of snacks sold compared to how many were up for grabs at the start of the game, start of the month. If almost every fan is walking away with a snack, that is a high ratio, meaning the market's pretty hot and houses are selling like hotcakes. But if fans aren't really feeling those corn dogs that have been sitting there since last Friday's loss and a lot of snacks are getting left unsold, that ratio is low and is a cooler market with more houses just sitting there waiting for buyers. In real estate, a high sales to active listing ratio indicates a seller's market, again, which could mean prices could go up and there are quicker sales. And a lower ratio suggests it is a buyer's market where the more leverage and wider selection of homes the buyers have to choose from. And a lower ratio suggests a buyer's market where buyers might have more leverage and a wider selection of homes to choose from. So keep an eye on this ratio. It is like a coach keeping an eye on his team's shooting percentage, and it tells you how well the market is playing and can help you strategize your next move. Here you have the sales to active listing ratio for the real estate board of Greater Vancouver, detached market, as you can see, 13%, apartments 22%, and townhouses 25%. Now what that means is that townhouse market is still technically in a seller's market. It's the most active, including with the apartments there, and the detached market is still technically in a balanced market because it's above 12%. You can see at times in the past, it was much more active here. March 2021, everything was above almost 50% here, meaning that almost every other listing was getting sold every single month. Next, we can look at the MLS HPI price here. As you can see, September 1.203, and we're sitting at 1.196. So not much of a difference from September to October, and only a 4.4% difference over the year from last October. So if you look at the October numbers for detached apartment and townhouses, you can see that there's not much change from the September numbers of the month before. And if you look at the numbers from the 2022, which is at the left side of the screen, this is only a 1-year chart. You can see that the prices have only come up about and around the average of about 6% here. Apartments leading the way though with 6.4% increase of prices compared to 2022 October numbers. So if we move over to the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, you can see that the numbers haven't changed much again since September, the biggest change being in the detached market. However, if you look up in the corner here, prices are still up year over year. Last October, we were up 4.8% for detached homes, 3.7% for apartments, and still townhouses are up again year over year, 4.7%. Now, the best thing about this platform is I can actually get into the details and help you with a specific area. So we're not just looking at the overall area. So we can narrow in on something like Cloverdale to see exactly what those house prices are doing. We can get into the MLS HPI price. We can do sale price versus average. We can do sales and see how active that market is. We can even break down the specific market if that's exactly what you're looking to get into. And we can even tell you what the inventory, what the trends are. We can break it down and even go as max out as numbers from 2005. And so let's quickly take a look at the sales to active listing ratio for the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, see what's exactly going on here. Numbers are pretty similar to what's going on in the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver. 11% for detached homes. Again, that is the slower market. Apartments and townhouses, basically the same numbers there as well. So again, very similar type of market going on. Basically because of the prices of those detached houses, that is why those are not moving. With these interest rates as high as they are right now, people are not getting qualified to be able to purchase those homes. So again, we use the sales to active listing ratio to determine what exactly is going on in the market. And as you can see here, in June, from March to June, we had a very active market and people were still buying and selling homes and everything was getting absorbed a lot quicker. As you can see, townhouses much quicker than detached, but still they were all in sellers markets and sellers were in control of the market, and that's why prices did come up during that time frame. We are now in a much more balanced market where people can transact a little bit easier. There is still subjects on properties and you can get into the market and purchase and sell in the market within a good time frame. So we only saw 920 sales in the Fraser Valley and just under 2,000 for the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver. And that again is 30% lower than what the normal average is for this time of the year. So expect sales to still continue to be on the decline here, especially going into the December month, because no one really wants to transact in that month. It's a time for family and everything else going on. Similar to what goes on in August, it's a very slow month usually. So again, we only have this 4-week window here in November, really where sales will, people will still be transacting and buying and looking to sell in this market. All right, so on to the news here. Let's get into what Justin Trudeau is blaming investors for and talking about the commodification of housing right now in the Canadian real estate industry. So here's the article here. Justin Trudeau blaming investors for the commodification of housing. There's a large amount of people that own homes. Up to 33% of apartment condos are owned by investors here in the GTA here. But he goes into saying something like here that I find very interesting is there are many factors that have gone into the housing crisis that people are facing right now, whether it's the growth of our economy, which is in a recession currently, or the growth of our population, which they've recently just admitted they're actually going to take into account the infrastructure that we need going forward when they talk about population growth, whether it's success of our communities, again, passing the buck here to someone else, or whether it's underinvestment by previous governments. He's been in power for 8 years in our housing over a very long time that requires us to finally step in very strong ways right now. But he should have chose his words much wiser because 1/3 of his Liberal cabinet owns rental properties right now, investment properties. Again, he wants to demonize the investors. However, 1/3 of his cabinet is actually an investor themselves. So this next story's article here is talking about how the new BC legislation will override the cities and allow 6 units per lot. To make something like this here, which in my mind does look very good, it is the way of the future here. Densification is necessary in order for us to keep homes more affordable. I don't think this is going to bring more affordable units to the market. However, this is going to put a cap on the ability of house prices to increase as fast as they have in the past 10 years. Now, the next article is in regards to the short-term rentals, and in my opinion, it's not going to move the needle and not going to have as big of an impact positively as it will negatively going forward here. In my opinion, I think this is a little bit of a government overreach, taking people's already legal units and taking them off the market and not allowing them to be on Airbnb anymore. Just for a reference here, there are plenty of units out in the communities like Victoria and Kelowna where the city actually is okay with them being short-term rentals. And with this new rule that's been put in here, the province is coming in and saying they are no longer allowed to be short-term rentals anymore, which in my opinion, again, is a little bit of a government overreach and a little bit infringing on property rights. The benefit of this is obviously going to bring some short-term rental units into the long-term rental market. However, I don't think it's going to be a massive swing in terms of prices for rentals or even prices for resale product, those people needing to sell because they can no longer run their Airbnbs anymore. And this last article here that I hinted about in regards to mortgage arrears, we are at historic lows. And first of all, if you've made it this far, thank you very much. Let me know in the comments by saying crash in the comments if you've actually made it this far. Again, I appreciate it very much. Unfortunately, for all the people that are expecting these houses to start flying off the market this soon is still not here. We are still at historic lows. We still haven't even seen any increases in the mortgage arrears. And yes, this is a very lagging indicator. It's like a 7 or 8 or 9 month delay in terms of these actually coming to fruition here because of the process that it takes to actually become a mortgage in arrear. Expect this to stay this way for another probably 6 or 8 months. And we'll really see again what these higher for longer interest rates really start to do, maybe after that time frame. Again, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great weekend.